Welcome to the Orange Couch Talks, a deeper dive from our leaders into our recent teachings.
Hey, welcome to the Orange Couch Talks. I'm back. I haven't been around for a few weeks. I'm TC. I'm the campus pastor at Cross Church in Laveen, and I'm getting to hang out with Andrew this week, campus pastor at our Cross Church Phoenix campus. And we're right now dropping this video on Thanksgiving Day, so you're probably one of the few people that's watching it live at that moment, right? But
if you're not eating turkey right now.
if you're not eating turkey.
Or you could listen while you're eating turkey.
Or maybe you already need a little bit of break from all the Thanksgiving craziness with family in town and stuff, and just go sit on the toilet and watch Orange Couch Talks. That's the best time. That's the easiest way to get privacy.
That probably ruined it for me of when people watch this is on the toilet.
That was probably TMI. I have a feeling if my mom watches this, she'll get mad about it.
You might get a text.
But I mean, so with Thanksgiving and this time of year and everything, the thing that always follows Thanksgiving, at least in the past, was Black Friday. And now Black Friday is like the entire month of November. And that definitely is a weak spot of mine. Like we already were talking, I already have been buying electronics and just everything goes on sale. And I always rationalize well, I'll get it cheaper now than if I wait and do it later.
Dude, I've been looking at sales, and I don't know if anything's really on sale. Like, I had told this one, I was like, hey, I think we could add, another, Ring camera or something, because we have, a little setup. Or I think I can add this. And I'm, looking at it, I'm like, is it really even that much cheaper right now? And I'm not sure if all these deals are even legit half the time.
Yeah, and my fear is always whenever they stretch it out the full month, that there's the real sale is coming.
In December, when they can't sell all the other stuff.
Yeah, so I keep all the receipts so I could take it back. I already have contemplated returning one of the electronics that I bought because I found it on sale for $3 cheaper somewhere else. But it would be a lot of work to exchange it all for $3.
I was going to say that's a little...
I had to ask Cody. I was like, Cody, do you think I should do it? And she was like, for $3, no.
So where'd you do the majority of your shopping?
Thus far, it's not over yet. But we did Best Buy and Amazon and Target.
Yeah. And so you can't go wrong with Amazon. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
for sure. That was the place that was it was $3 cheaper than Target. So
Amazon's amazing right now with their return policy and everything. I buy a lot of stuff on Amazon, probably knowing it's not going to work out because I can just take it to UPS and return it.
Dude, it's great. I feel like I can take it back. Oh yeah, you opened it and you're missing half the pieces, but here's your full refund. As long as you take it back to Kohl's, everything's fine.
Yep, I'm with you.
So, but with that being said, it can be a financially strained time of year.
Absolutely.
Praise the Lord that Christmas bonuses are a thing, because Thanksgiving expenses are definitely a thing. And the Bible, whenever it comes to church and talking about money, people always get funny when you talk about money, and the expectation is that it's going to be a message on how you need to give to the church. And the Bible does talk about that, but a lot of times it's neglected that the Bible talks about all these practical financial practices that can help bring financial freedom, that can help you live within your means, about saving. There's so many important things that the church needs to be talking about too, because we can always be more generous when we manage what we have even better. And I know that you have a lot, you are a financial guru kind of guy, especially compared to the rest of us on staff. So the bar's not super high.
Well, we got Chad.
True.
He's Big Daddy Warbucks.
True story. True story. You guys can battle royale for the cross church finance extraordinaire. But we were talking before we started this about some things that you see in the Bible that can be helpful.
Well, and what's interesting is this passage we looked at this week, Jesus really dealt with a lot of motives. And he talks about giving, and it kicks off a section where he's going to talk about giving, prayer, and fasting. And his point in that was you're doing good things with the wrong motives, and you're really not trusting God ultimately to provide and be that source, and you're making an idol out of these things to receive praise in the wrong way. So I shared a story, I fixed my washing machine so my wife would give me praise rather than it's the right thing to do. I did for the totally wrong motives. But
the bonus is nice though, the bonus is nice.
There you go. But the other, I think, areas where Jesus talks about money, he talks about how if we have too much money, sometimes it still becomes an idol, and it's hard for a rich man to enter heaven. And we sometimes hear that and was like, well, I need to get rid of all my money. I need to give it all away. Or I need to just not make money and just like spend it all frivolously. But the Bible throughout talks about like practices. I mean, I love the parable Jesus talks about with talents, is he gives people different money and he has them go work it. The master gives them talents, and one comes back and he fully makes his investment back. Another comes back and he made his investment back, and one went and buried it, and he was lazy, he was slothful, and he was thrown out. And so I think there's this idea with money is the Bible talks about this, is to steward it the correct way. So we shouldn't be racking up debt. We shouldn't be buying presents that we can't afford. Right now is like, sometimes I think the part where we feel bad, we're like, oh, I gotta love my kids and my family and I gotta do all this. And the thing that sucks as an adult is when you buy gifts for yourself or for your spouse, it's just your money, right? It's not your parents' money anymore.
Yeah.
That's why my wife's like, what do you want? I'm like, I just buy myself what I want. It just doesn't matter. I'm a Grinch that way. But it's like, we need to be responsible for it, that we're not frivolously spending that money, and that we are investing it for a rainy day or for the future and like for retirement. But then here comes the tension, and this is what I struggle with, and I kind of talked to you about, is because there's one side, we can be reckless, we can be dumb, we can frivolously spend our money, and the Bible speaks against that, but also speaks against what we talked about this week, is storing up our treasures here on earth. And sometimes I become a slave of, I have a really cool app that shows my retirement account and shows projections of what they're supposed to be when I retire. They're probably not going to happen. Sure they will. But like, so I look at those, I'm like, oh yeah, my retirement's on track. And I'm like, why am I checking this when it's like 40 plus years down the road or something dumb? I was like, I don't know why this is, it almost becomes an idol. And I think God convicted me this week as I was preaching this message of like, how can I be more generous?
Yeah.
So I know you have some great ideas on that, or what are some ways that we can be generous with our money, but still stay within practical, responsible means?
Yeah, and I like that you said that the Bible talks about the dangers of having too much money, and how that can become bigger than God and become an idol, something that we rest and put all of our hope and our trust in. Well, we got all this money set aside, and having money is not a bad thing. I mean, money can resource the church, money can resource your family. Like, those are good things. I think the opposite side can just as much become an idol as well. Not having enough money distracts us from God because we're constantly worried about how are we going to pay for this, or how are we going to deal with the situation. Something always surprising comes up, right? The dishwasher breaks, or you have to fix tile on the roof because apparently there's a monsoon season that didn't happen this year, and I think it's all a trick. But I know for me that I'm a big budgeter, all right? I would not say that I'm like financially a genius or anything, but I like to budget, so I know where money's going. And whenever me and Cody got married, Cody is the opposite of a budgeter. She's just like, let's
Dave Ramsey always says there's a spender and a saver.
Yes, I like to say that she's spontaneous, and she's very, very generous with it. And so she would, every day, like when we first got married, she'd come home, she'd be like, oh, I bought so-and-so's lunch, or I bought them this, or I saw this gift and I bought it for my coworker. And I'd always say, Cody, that money comes from somewhere. It's not just like it doesn't count whenever it's for somebody else. And it was such a great thing she was doing, but it would stress me out because I knew, okay, well, now we probably shouldn't eat out later this week, or we got to pull that out of this budget. And it always stressed me out. And I felt like every time in church, whenever a pastor talked about giving, it was always, you need to give to other people, you need to help. And there was nothing to help me not make that. I mean, it always sounded like the spontaneous thing, like I'm just going to feel generous in the moment and do it. And I never felt generous in the moment.
Dude, I don't have that spontaneous generosity either.
I know. Like, Cody is a much better person than me. And so I realized that if God doesn't recommend us be generous, and he never talks about the feeling of generosity, he commands generosity. So if I was waiting to feel generous, I wasn't obeying God. So instead, what I did was I started planning for generosity. I knew Cody was going to be generous, and I wanted to free myself up to be generous. So we started budgeting generosity. Every single time we got paid, we did our tithe, we gave to the church, as the Bible said, but we set some extra apart that was for us to be able to pay for people's lunches, or whenever somebody we knew like had an issue with their car, we could help out with that. And we always are storing money away that's separate from all of our bills, separate from all of our play money and our groceries. that we can use to serve other people. And it's been great. Now I'm like, now I get a generous feeling because like, oh, hey, don't worry, we got in the budget. But when the budget runs out, there's no generosity.
You're gonna buy my lunch today?
For people in need. And you just talked about your
I
bank
need
account.
food today. Dude, that's good though. I love that. And you're right. It's like sometimes I think we think that, okay, if we're generous, it's just God's gonna provide. He's gonna keep pouring out the oil, right? Like the widow, like more money will just magically appear in our account. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. But I think it kind of sometimes God does provide blessings.
Absolutely.
But we also have a responsibility to be diligent and to be disciplined with that and stewarding that money correctly. And a lot of times it's just shifting money we probably don't need to spend on ourselves in order to give that to other people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Tyler Durden from Fight Club says we spend money on stuff we don't like to impress people who don't like us or something like that. You know the quote.
I got you.
Whatever.
I know where you're going.
Fight Club's a great movie. Regardless, Brad Pitt was right now.
There we go. We're talking about toilets and Fight Club this week.
That's going to be the tagline. And turkey, because, it's Thanksgiving.
It is Thanksgiving. And because it's Thanksgiving, we don't really want to go too long on this, and we're also talking about money, and you probably don't want to hear a whole lot about that. So I think we're probably going to try and wrap it up here. But guys, thank you so much for taking the time to check this out this week. And we're excited to talk to you next week more about worry, because money is a major thing. Marriage is another big thing. The kids, there's a lot of things that get in the way of us really being able to focus on God and His plan for us. So make sure you're here next week to hear more at the Orange Couch Talks.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe, and don't forget to go out and make Jesus known.